There you go, friends. Doc South here, and I don't know. I'm kind of chilly today. The heat is on at our humble abode. Uh, Thermostat's showing we've got reasonably good room temperature. Nothing insanely hot. Um, in fact, we might eat. Well, yeah, I think we're right around room temperature in the house, which is fine. It's murky and damp outside. I don't think we've had much precipitation, but there's definitely no sunlight. No, no, no. Cloud cover's way too thick. And I'm just sitting here. I just like to sit still for a few minutes before I do a video. And I noticed, my gosh, I'm doggone cold in this house today. I've got dungarees on. I don't have my long johns on, but I got dungarees, good heavy shoes, good nice fat socks. One, two, one, two, three shirts and a vest, ball cap, or a poor man's toupee. Really is what this is for. I'd wear this probably even if it was the hat, even if it was 120 in this house. Just say, well, I just don't need. Yeah, the darn. I don't know what happened to the hair. Somewhere somewhere between 72 and 75, it went away. It left. But in any case, so here I am. I'm sitting here feeling a little bit chilly, but remembering one time. Let's see when it got really hot. I had to go work inside a boiler. That was tough. That was tough. I think I've told you that story. I had the boiler. It was a big boiler at a linoleum plant, if I recall right. And we they had a boiler down, and they couldn't take a chance on the second boiler going down. So they wanted us to fix the broken one as fast as possible, while the other one, at least while the second boiler held the load. A lot of boiler rooms will have two or three boilers just for that reason. One breaks, you still, or if it gets really cold or you need steam, you got two in reserve. And I guess they were, with the process they were doing, they were afraid that they were going to be needing three, and they only had two that were in working shape. So we got there. They were doing all they could to cool it off for us. They had opened up the doors to the firebox in the boiler and ran fans inside, uh, big fans. I think they no, they didn't. They didn't have anyone brave enough to bring a fan in. It was still very hot, and those boiler bricks are a couple hundred degrees hot, maybe more than that. I mean, when the boiler's on, some of them glow from the fire from the boiler's fire port or fire nozzle. They pump in this real, what would normally be tar, but they heat it first, and it gets kind of sort of like tar, and they heat it, and it gets liquid and more liquid, and then they run that through a big nozzle into the boiler firebox and light it off with it's some kind of almost like a welding gun. Yeah. And the firebox is full of fire. Picture your bedroom totally full of fire and howling. And that's what the inside of a firebox is like. Do that for a week at a time, and the bricks inside the boiler, which keep the fire from ripping the metal the metal parts to shreds or melting them. Uh, these uh, these bricks take on a glow like like coal. Yeah, I mean it's like that. And but we got there after about 3 or 4 hours of them having the boiler off and running like I told you with with the flame off and just air fans going like crazy to try to cool it off. Well, they did the best they could, but we go climbing in. We go we go climbing in with knee pads and gloves and a hat and a mask and all that stuff, and we go in about 4 feet, turn right around, and come right back out. And tell the guy, "You got to be kidding! You haven't had these off for what 3 hours? Yeah, it's gonna take a while, for crying out loud. What do you? Oh God!" And the boiler, the plant engineer's down there now. He's getting sore. He says, "God love a duck." He says, "I thought you guys can't get in there and start knocking bricks loose." I said, "Here, pick up go touch that brick. Lick your finger first and just touch that brick." I don't know if I said it. Might have been the boss said to do that, and I was just one of the helpers. And the guy licks his finger. The plant engineer licks his finger, touches the brick. Oh, and you just see a little bit of steam come off the finger, and it's my God, he says, yay. He says, "Okay," he says, "you guys are right. I can't make you go in there right now. Why don't you go get some supper? We'll run more fans in. You guys get the rear fans going." And we had other ports. We'll try to run some warm water, but it won't be. We can't put ice cold water in there right now. We'd be liable to mess something up with the thermal shock. And so they were doing what they could to get the boiler to cool down, get the water tubes a little bit cooler. That might help. Open up the back ports, fans, and more fans. Sit around, eat ice cream. You had to do something. And long story short, it took till about sometime around 9 o'clock the next morning to where you could get near that, inside that boiler. And even when you did, if you didn't have gloves on, you picked up one of those gloves, honestly, it would leave a welt. Oh my God. And what do? We got the gloves, got the knee pads, the big, this like big face mask, so we're not breathing asbestos and dust and soot. And we just start right from the port where we go crawling in. We find fire brick and we break it with hammers until it's just chunks. Take the chunks with our gloved hands, put them in a bucket, send them out, not with water in the bucket, but just the bricks. When the fireman, the boiler operator fireman, grabs the bucket, throws that outside, a side yard of the boiler room, and he comes back and gets another hands. Meanwhile, he has given us another bucket, and we're doing a bucket brigade of bricks. And every time we make a good tub or a bucket of bricks and send it out, I think they were slightly large buckets, larger than like when you're mopping a floor. Yeah, because the boiler door or the hatch was only maybe 2 feet by 18 inches. And we so that's all of the space you had, and we're putting these insanely hot bricks. If you touch them without gloves, even with gloves, they were too hot. And you had to touch them gingerly, even though you were using gloves. Masks on, respirators, all that. Hard hats, of course, because God, you stand up and hit one of those pipes inside the firebox with a bald head, it's going to leave a welt. And so we're just pounding away. And then every hour we come out and we just go like that for about 10 minutes and then back in again. And long story short, it took a while, but eventually with the fire bricks going out the hatch, things were starting to cool down to maybe 140. So we were going a little faster. And in due time with the fans and the water going and careful application of the water. And we finally got to where, oh, we got the bricks out. And we holler out to the plant engineer. He says, good, you boys come on out. We're going to cool it down a bit more. We'll get you your bricks, and you guys rest a few hours. And we got a break. We got a room you can go take a nap if you want. And I think it was the nurse's room or whatever. We or like that. We get 3 hours later. We get shook. Okay, and we march in and we start putting the fresh bricks in, the cooler ones, the ones that have never been in a boiler yet. And it took a while to get everything just right, but give us a few hours and we had the bricks reasonably back to where they should be. Put a few finishing touches in, and then bingo, climb outside, count heads, make sure we didn't leave someone in there, and shut the fire doors, turn it on, hit it, and the engineer hit it. He had the water already in the boiler to turn it into steam, and bingo, they were running again. And all we had to do was wheelbarrow those darn bricks into the side yard there, around the other side of the boiler and boiler house, and voila, we were on our way home with a good paycheck in view, not in our hands, but with insight when we got back to the shed, shall we say? Yeah, it's kind of neat. But that, those boilers, man, they decide to give you trouble. You do got trouble, and it's a lot of work, and it's usually hot work, and it's something that, in a lot of cases, really can't wait. It's got to get taken care of. Sometimes it can wait. If they have a second boiler or a third boiler that could feed steam to the pipe, good. This place, you just turn on one of them instead. It's a spare. But in this case, no, they couldn't. It just wasn't going to work. So it was feet do your stuff. And it was nice at that point to have knee pads and shoulder pads and hats and all that baloney to keep from getting scalded and an armful of welts. So anyway, just another day in paradise. I think that's what we said as we left the place. We were desperately looking for a place for beer, but it was a long ride home, so we desperately searched instead for a place that made sausage and pepper sandwiches and root beer. And we found that, and well, that would have to do. We'll catch you later. Bye now, and God bless. And stay warm.